Hello. Tilda Lochvarn holds her hand over her brow and looks southward toward the horizon and distant southern evening star. To you, her companions, she appears as a cat in the dark, her eyes glowing with the reflection of something burning to the south. And just like a cat, she takes off running toward home. Tomorrow is her birthday. Julienne sees Tilda running. Her chestnut hair tosses across her face as she whips her head south. It is really the uncertainty that gets you. Something is burning up in the hills. Torches, maybe? Siege weapons? Julienne's hands furtively check her pack. No matter what it is, there will be potions required, salves. People will need to be healed. Tourniquets. It will never end. And Julienne calls over her shoulder to you, Noe. I'll get your dad. Before she breaks into a hurried jog southward toward the high road and the main bridge that enters Southern Evening Star. Noe, you doubt that anyone will get your dad ever. Certainly there is no use chasing after him while he is hasted. Certainly your mom will find him before Julienne does. Right? A griffin, Keen's above. Roll nature, DC 14.
I got a nat 20.
That griffin is looking for something or someone. It is loitering up there waiting. Rain. You see Julienne running. Once again, someone from these lands places their faith in the Flaming Fist. You have to wonder what brings people to have faith in these organizations. Ideals, flags, all this chaos. Chaos, fire, burning banners. Inhale that smoke. Breathe it in. Make your insides as black as they deserve to be. You can hear it much clearer now. The east horizon rain. Drums getting closer. Everyone roll perception. DC 13. Elves have advantage.
$17.
19.
On your 17, Sporgle, those are the types of drums that infantry march to. Kaysen, on your 19, this is what you want to do when you want to be heard.
18.
Synthesize that information somewhere in the middle, right? Sporgle, it seems like there's a lot going on around you. You notice that this land is mostly populated by humans, and humans seem to struggle a lot at night. Their vision is worse than yours, and they act scared and squirrely when they can't see what's going on. Your little eyes take the lay of the land. Tactics. Let us begin. You see that there is an east-west road that runs through the town. You heard Steel Toe talking about this. The High Road, a major supply route. If there was truly a warband coming, they would come through here. So, where is safe? Fortunately, your little head is already on a swivel. There is a manor to the northeast, high on the hill that overlooks the river. The docks on the north, the docks to the north, are down a long and winding road, the one that brought you and Kaysen here, where you would be exposed for a long, open stretch of land. To the west, you see open land, small houses, and meadows. Your shortbow is a perfect weapon for these mid-range engagements. From a little comes a lot. Perhaps these humans need a reminder that kings can be short too. And in that realm of princely jawlines, we find Kaysen. Ed is advancing rapidly on you. He is holding a bone dagger. A disconnected and analytical part of your mind remembers something about this. Ah, he is a Malarite, you venture. The god of the hunt, primal ferocity, claws, lines that move to the right, and blood. Your blood, too. These sacrificial daggers are usually made of bone that the Malarite took from prey that they slayed. You realize that Ed is holding a piece of another creature. At least you hope it was a creature that he killed himself. He is wielding a piece of something that was once alive, and he snuffed it with his own hands, cut and cleaned it, carved it, and it is now at your throat. Hi. I just killed 50 men that look just like you. Give me one reason not to make it 51. A glob of viscous blood, the color and texture of hot crimson clay, drips from Ed's quivering nostril. Suddenly, something gets his attention over your shoulder. Kaysen, you hear a familiar language. Someone is speaking Elvish, murmuring low to the ground, and Ed hears it too. The dagger is never at your throat for more than a second. In the muddy road behind you, there is a figure clad in green plate mail, half buried in the mud, crawling out of the woods and groaning with the last of his consciousness. The action's with the party.
Alrighty then. I'm definitely going to put my hands up as though I don't mean any harm. I have no allegiance to any group of Sylvans. I know nothing about this attack. Is everyone from the town okay? Where's Laird? Where's his wife? Where's everyone else?
Ed is walking toward this body. Are you following him as you ask these questions?
Yes.
He kneels down in the mud and looks at whoever this is. He looks over at you. That's right, you're not from here, so why do you care about Laird? Why do you care about my friend?
That's a good question that I probably don't have an answer to. I feel compelled to mention at least that your son is up on the docks. It didn't seem like anything was going on up there. I didn't hear anything recently. So
My son, Rick.
I think he's fine.
You met Rick? You met my son?
Yes. I just want to say, other than the Griffin, which seems closer to us than them, yeah, everything seemed okay up there.
Ed is kneeling down over this figure. Do you know this one, Sylvan? He even looks a little bit like you, doesn't he?
I feel like there's some undertone there that I'm not gonna unpack right now. Is he even a wood elf? Doesn't look familiar to me.
In your estimation, this is a wood elf, but it's hard to say. He's wearing a helmet.
It's kind of muddy.
There's a cake, exactly. There is a cake of mud on him. He has drifted out of consciousness now.
Pointed to his side, bleeding probably. Rain will approach the body and kneel down. Can I get a gist on a medicine check of sorts of how stable does this figure seem?
Absolutely. No medicine check required for you, Rain. You can see that there is a long bruise down the bridge of his nose. The outline of the brow of his helmet is bruised very deeply into his forehead. You can see a bruise in the shape of the brow of his helmet. His cheek has crusted over with blood. His scalp, as you feel around, seems unmarred. There's a dog tag around his neck, and the only evidence of injury you can find is that the front of his breastplate seems slightly caved in. Now on that, you can roll an intelligence check. DC 12.
$17.
He must have fallen out of something. Maybe a tree. He did just
No,
crawl
where'd
out of
it
the
go?
trees.
Dog tags them. Pull them up and try to read what is written on them. What regiment is he from? If it's just a name or if it's actually a part of a organization of sorts.
There are two things on this dog tag. Rain, do you announce, is this something you keep to yourself? One of the inscriptions is in Elvish.
I'll read them silently first.
You read them silently. The dog tag reads, Thana, comma, Erlin. The inscription reads, Myth Dranor, Ohiris. This means, my home is Myth Dranor.
It's a long way from home. Step aside. I'm a doctor. I'd like to do my work.
Ed knows you and has seen you tend to people in the past, and with a grunt, he moves aside, standing up and watching you.
Lorne will produce the sensor that he snuffed out beforehand. Light it again. Same lavender, sort of calming thing more than anything here. Produce a file of, I believe, Verdilily was what it was called, correct? An attempt to salve whatever we can here.
Make a medicine check. No DC, just broadly something that tracks to the efficacy of your efforts here.
A little shaken with a 9.
You're a bit shaken. Your fingers are having trouble remaining steady as you tend to his wounds. You feel what seems like mostly contusions, bruises. Everywhere where his breastplate connects to his body, there are nasty purplish bruises. Right here, very prominent. Again, it seems like he probably fell on something. You can tell that he is deeply injured, currently unconscious. You have a feeling that some of this may not pertain to long-term injuries, but rather the shock of his helmet hitting his head. You feel like he is medically stable. And I'm sorry, go ahead.
Jason, we need to get him out of this. He's gonna Rain will motion towards the breastplate that is dented in. You seem the strongest of the lot of them. No offense. I'll look directly towards Noe.
Noe is simply standing there with her
fingers interlaced, and sort of gives him a prim nod. She's looking between the fallen figure and the griffin. Does the figure have any other kind of equipment on him?
He does. And you are looking up a certain tree here.
Yes.
You notice something.
Yes.
He has on each shoulder a blue crest made of lapis on both of his shoulders. You're not sure what this signifies, but certainly it signifies something.
I think she'll lower her voice, again, giving the two of them space to tend to this figure, but she does offer the griffin that's circling above us right now is looking for something specific. Do we think this could be its rider?
It certainly could be. He might have fallen. You're not wrong. With that new spark of inspiration, does that seem to align with what a large fall would look like? That much of an impact?
Hard to say.
I guess in that case, after he's stabilized, we should probably move him somewhere inside where the griffin can get to us. Rain, I will follow your lead. So I'll kneel down and just assist in whatever way. I don't know. Is that a strength check? Sturdy.
There's enough of you working on this that no strength check is necessary, and Ed is more than happy to help you. If you grab his shoulder, Ed helps to extricate him from the mud, tugging his legs out of the muck here on the side of the road. Noe, he observes you looking at his livery and develops the same conclusion. He makes eye contact with you, and you can tell he's thinking the same thing. Let's get him inside. I have some questions for him when he wakes up.
Considering the questions you had for me, and I didn't even have any relation to you, I'm gonna pity this bastard when he wakes up.
His nostrils flare. You get the impression he's not done with you, Kason. When you go to move him...
Never gonna be done with me.
Say that one more time, Ari.
Is he ever gonna be done with me?
You sense that maybe his grudge, whatever that grudge is deep. You are starting to put that together. When you go to move him, you find something. There's a thin wire tethering a cylinder to his right wrist. It's a long cylinder with something filigreed on the outside. It's caked in mud. It dangles from his wrist, making a strange jangling sound. Ed ignores it and starts tugging his body along.
I feel like we should maybe remove that and stop it from making noise in case that's some kind of call for the griffin.
Fine. Remove it.
I have to whistle.
No, that looks
I'm gonna
like...
take it off and try to maybe stuff it in a pocket to get it to stop making noise.
Is that a message?
You can't find you can't tug it off. When you try to take it off, it is tethered to his wrist by a thin chain. When you try to pull it off, you realize that his hand might have to come with it.
Oh, okay. Weird.
Are they able to undo the cylinder, open it?
Why don't you try?
I will try.
You can't find anything that suggests an opening. You find an inscription, though. There are 5 tick marks and 3 arrows pointing toward a central point.
Is that a symbol I could recognize?
Nothing obvious. It rattles when you shake it.
Is it possible to maybe roll some kind of Arcana check to see if this is enchanted?
Sure.
Okay.
Roll Arcana, DC 14.
To add 19 on the die for a total of 21.
You inspect this object, attempting to ascertain whether or not it is enchanted. You detect no obvious enchantment here, no way. This seems like a well-engineered object, but one that is not necessarily affected by magic. Pulling on the chain, you sense a certain blue-silver hue to the metal. That's mithril. No wonder it's so strong.
All right. Well, I suppose he would know what this is when he wakes up. I assume it's keyed very specifically to whoever is meant to open it. Ed, where is my father?
Ed wipes blood away from his nose. He's fine. He's with your brother.
No, it doesn't immediately look like that quite makes her feel relieved, but she does nod.
You can't imagine him lying to you about something like that.
No, not with the care that he takes of my father. Well, we can bring him inside as the other suggested. If we want to go up north and see if we can signal the Griffin at some point, that I'm not sure if this man's appearance and the Griffin's appearance has something to do with this elven scouting party suddenly appearing, but...
It could be a warband, but this one's from Mr. Nor. Warbands It doesn't quite add up. It'd be best if we got him inside. As we've stripped them of this breastplate and presumably helmet at this point, the make is, I assume, of good quality, if not damaged.
That is exactly correct. The quality is surpassing mastercraft. You recognize this. This is from the Elfworks of Myth Dranor. This is military hardware. Tell me,
Be ashamed to
Rain, go ahead.
Rain, very out loud. It would be a shame to leave them, and he seems like he has this wash of disgust as he realizes how many hands are full at this point, trying to take this man inside as he casts an eye over Sporgle. Can you carry them? He'll gesture towards them and towards Sporgle.
What are you asking him to carry?
The breastplate and helmet that are currently on the ground.
Sporgle clambers down from the roof.
I'm sorry, I was too scrolled down.
He picks him up and just kind of looks at him. How heavy is this, would you say?
It's surprisingly lightweight.
Okay.
The outside of this almost seems to be some type of composite material. It's the color of emerald, but it seems to have an intensely protective capacity. You scratch at it with one of your claws, and it feels very hard to you, harder than steel.
Sporgle likes this. He'll drag it behind him and bring it into the inn, assuming that's where this is headed.
And it's more awkward than heavy. And certainly the construction does interest you.
Mm-hmm.
I think as the others make their way to the inn, Noe will sort of hurry in front, thinking to get inside and make sure everybody is aware of what's about to happen.
Look how we're trying to move these four like in succession here.
One moment.
That moment when you want to turn the heater on, but then you remember that you forgot to refill the propane tank. Oops. I'm just glad it's gonna be this dude is gonna be distracted by interrogating someone else for once.
You find yourself somewhere familiar. Does anyone help Ed bring...
I'm helping.
We like a Rand token, but yes.
Oh yeah, where are you? Where's your token? We're missing someone. Where'd Rain go?
Is there no... Where is the rain token? One moment, I'm sorry.
Oh, I thought the drow's just vibing in here. Was Lainey still in here, or did she leave in the last session?
You see no evidence of Lainey Lochlaren. Rain, does that token work? It's fresh. It's made a new one.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. Ed opens the door with his hips. And it seems oddly quiet in here. Kareen is sitting by the fire. Mikhail calls over to the group. My brother is out there. Could I implore you to... And
We have injured.
when he sees that this is happening, he calls over to Ed and says, Ed, you're not doing an autopsy in here.
Not dead.
He's not dead yet.
Exactly. Yes.
Might be when Ed's done with him.
It's not an autopsy yet. Ed tosses the body onto the table with a heavy thud.
Oh,
Sporgol places the helmet and the armor on the table as well.
Mikhail approaches, looking concerned. He steeples his fingers. Did you see my brother out there on his horse? Andre? Like me, but with a
Oh.
beard.
I do remember seeing him. His horse
Where?
gave me a dirty look. He was going south. He was coming over the bridge going south, I remember.
He's over the bridge. It's strange that he didn't come here. Are you telling me the truth?
I was trying to stay out of the way.
That doesn't
He
sound
was
like
going
him.
south.
He rubs his temples. The figure drools onto the table. He's lying on his side right now, partially supine.
Get them under their back.
You do so.
He's not like choking on blood or anything, right?
Perhaps you should check it out.
Yeah, I should probably check.
His airway seems clear. He is breathing, albeit very slowly.
Now in better light, presumably. Any open wounds outside of the bruising?
Some of these bruises involve open skin, but you see nothing obvious other than that. It seems like his breastplate crushed into his chest and his helm crushed into his head. He's lucky to be alive by your estimation.
Do either alchemist or bartender have anything weird and smelly that could wake up an unconscious person?
Yeah, normally I could bring along things that bring people more to sleep rather than wake them up. I could find some things, although, barkeep, if you have any cheap swill I could pour on the wounds, that might shake him out of it.
Something pungent, something alcoholic. I can do that.
Yeah.
He walks into the back of the storeroom to the east. You hear him rummaging around, looking for the most pungent thing he can find in your estimation.
Rain will try to move towards the bar and find a rag, something to clean glasses with.
Can I make any sort of like history check as to why a giant war party would give a shit about this little trading town?
Yes, you
Or would
may.
I know anything about that?
Make a history check, and let's look at it like this. You can make a low DC history check that may offer you some general insight, or you can shoot for something a little bit higher. We will call it a higher DC, and you can shoot for something that offers a little bit more explanatory power. So, do you wish to sort of ascertain the general situation, or are you trying to figure out the what and the why?
I think more the general situation because my rolls have been pretty shit and I don't have a modifier for a history check. It's just a +0. So I'm not feeling very confident. So I'm going to go for more like general idea. Oh, good. I just got a 12.
Okay, we're aiming for a DC 10. So, on a 12, why would a war party come through here? Well, something that you're aware of is that there's been a massive schism inside the Cormanthor. After the Spell Plague, the Sylvan Elves had a difficult time converging on a single belief system. These could be apostates fleeing persecution. These could be elves from Myth-Drannor eager to recapture these ancestral lands. This could be an army marching in simply to occupy this. The elves held these lands less than 1,000 years ago. They could be walking here to take them back. They could be fleeing something larger.
Is this area like geographically fairly strategic being along the river and the major road.
Extremely strategic. In fact, Evening Star's primary value from a military perspective is that it is at this critical juncture between the Starwater River, which runs north-south, and the High Road, which runs east to west. Evening Star is right there at that extremely strategic location. And the thing that overlooks that all important river crossing and the bend of the river is Chateau Saint Cyr.
Okay, interesting. So if they wanted to retake this area, this would be a pretty good outpost to start.
Does Kason say any of this out loud?
Just thinking, just thinking.
Rain will return with a bar rag of some sort. I have an idea, at the very least. I think it's a lot cheaper than the kind I found, but he'll try to find the silver, or rather mithril cylinder and wipe it clean from the mud and cake and coat it with a cheap ink from their back. Roland.
You do so. You're looking to take like an imprint sort of thing. You want to see like what the ink sticks to. Is that correct?
Exactly.
How clever. You see the same thing that Noe saw. There are 5 tick marks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all parallel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you see a symbol of 3 arrows converging on a single point.
Attempt to roll that out onto a piece of paper.
You do so. You roll it onto the rag. Was that your intent?
Something.
Onto the rag?
Effectively a piece of parchment that they would have had on hand, not the rag. The rag's more for cleaning and getting the alcohol down.
Got it.
Fiddly things that. Fuck.
Could we take a moment, please? Is it okay? Yeah.
Sure.
Check on the baby.
Yeah, exactly. Hi. Thank you. So, Rain, you have taken the imprint of these markings. Kaysen has had various epiphanies.
Rain will hand this to Noah. In absence of my little student. Hand it to her if she comes back.
Dry enough to wear, but like what's finally dry enough to reach show off? The other one finally dried.
That's very cool.
Yes, Noe says, with a little bit of a look of concern towards the door, yes, Tilda will be furious that she's missing this.
Yeah, she's I have so many stories to listen to, though. Yeah.
I've had a little bit of training with healing magic when and if you may have need of it, I may be able to bring him back to consciousness.
Take your hand at it.
Noe takes in a deep breath through her nostrils, lays her hands over the man's chest, and whispers plea to Shantea as she searches for that magic that she feels fueling every spring, and will use lay on hands to try to bring him from a state of unconsciousness.
You use lay on hands. You infuse your right hand with the power of Chontea, who, as you said, every spring brings the harvest. Can we, in the same way that a wheat seed opens every spring and is somehow brought from torpor into the world, you hope to bring this man out of his torpor into the realm of consciousness? You watch his eyelid twitch. Your lay on hands causes some of his wounds to close. His contusions fade. He looks better. His collarbone, which seemed to be deeply dented, almost on the verge of being broken, slowly loses some of its pinkness and its inflammatory properties. He doesn't stir yet, though. His arm twitches a little bit, causing the cylinder to shake. It makes a strange sound, like tink, tink, tink. He breathes in suddenly, but doesn't stir.
Rain will kneel into the censer as if to puff it out, and will attempt to whisper very quietly into that man's ear. Careful. I don't like you here. In Sylvan, I'm sorry.
Noted. You whisper a strong personal warning. Kareen walks over, tracing the edge of the table with her fingertip.
Truly all sorts here, huh?
Do you need me to flay him?
I prefer this one whole, thank you.
Yeah, no flaying necessary.
She puts her hand in her palm as if she's disappointed.
And this figure does not seem familiar from my travels through this town, correct?
No, he does not, Rain. In fact, you have a funny feeling that had he traveled through here before, you probably would be familiar with him. Your line of thinking is such that this would stick out. He's also rather large, imposing. He's pretty. He has a finely sculpted jawline. You think you would remember him. You like his hair, Rain.
Rain will take a look over to the right to where Ed is standing. Your barkeep is... No.
As you say barkeeper, you realize that Michaela is already walking back into the room. Just as Ed let himself into the bar, hips first, Michaela comes back in carrying a number of things in jars. I don't know if this is pungent enough, but he has 2 tins of sardines closed, a jar of olives that seems like it was opened quite some time ago, and a little wooden cylinder marked lie.
Oh, dear.
That'll do.
He places them in front of you, Rain.
A moment, if you will. Rain will produce a mortal and pestle from his pack, applying mostly the sardines, trying not to use the lie. I'm sorry, the sardines, lie, and
Olives.
the third object, olives, the sardines and olive, and begin to mince them together, or mash them together in the mortar and pestle.
While Rain,
No, you.
I was just gonna say while Rain's working, I'm going to cautiously engage Ed again. You said that you killed 50 Sylvans. I didn't even register that there were 50 people in this town to match that. How were things to the south? How are things?
He looks over his shoulder at you. Do you think I'm lying?
I wasn't asking if you were lying. I was asking if everyone was all right down there. I mean, we're all here in this tavern waiting to interrogate this man. I mean, shouldn't we be? I feel like we should be down there helping. There's a lot of hands idle.
You hear the griffin keening above between your words. Ed hears it too. I would say I'm pretty far from okay. Well, this isn't a jail cell. If we can't wake him up, you realize Ed is fingering his dagger.
Noe
I'll put.
puts her hands down on the table, leaning over the man, and openly addresses him in Elvish. She says, "Friend, you are here in the town of Evening Star. We have found you grievously wounded just outside the tavern that we have brought you here, and we are attempting to address your wounds. But there is a lot of chaos happening outside, so if I could persuade you to engage with us, I think that may be, in the long term, better for our mutual interest than if you remain silent."
You do your best to persuade him to do something, anything, before Ed cuts his throat. Unfortunately, he truly seems to be unconscious, not catatonic, not unresponsive. He's just not there. He makes no response, even as you speak to him in his native tongue, no way. His body twitches a little bit.
Mechanically speaking, since they're both fairly low spells, would it make a difference if I also used lay on hands, or does it kind of only heal to like a certain level? Do they stack? I'm not familiar with that spell at all mechanically.
From a mechanical perspective, lay on hands heals hit points, which can be useful in bringing something. If someone is unconscious because they have fallen below 0 hit points, lay on hands is one of the ways to get them out of that. If someone is unconscious due to a debuff, lay on hands may assist in purifying them. There may be other factors as well. From what you've seen so far, this could just be a deep concussion with the way everybody has been touching him and trying to heal him and trying to get him back to a state of consciousness.
Okay, so I think I might save mine for another occasion.
Ed jams his dagger into the table and starts taking off pieces of the elf's belt. He finds a short sword and 2 bags. He starts going through them.
When he jams this dagger into the table, how sharp is it?
Pretty sharp.
Like it didn't look like it took the lives of 50 elves.
You can certainly make that inference. In fact, Rain, you can tell that this dagger did not take 50 lives tonight. It's a bone dagger, right? A sacrificial dagger. Hard to imagine doing extended combat with this. He throws the elf's short sword onto the table with a clatter. He sniffs one of the little leather bags, and then pulls his face away as he gets a whiff of something. Speaking of whiffs of something, your olive and sardine mixture is truly coming together.
Good. He'll attempt to take some sort of vellum parchment, something cheap, to roll it into a basically a split, and light one end of it with the end of the censer, and just hold it under their nose.
You do so. He seems entirely unresponsive until one of the little tendrils of smoke goes right up his nose, and he suddenly gasps, coughs, and clutches his chest. He sits up suddenly on the table.
Easy, easy.
He's coughing. He's coughing hard. He clutches his ribs and leans forward.
I'm gonna reach over and just kind of take the dagger and just sort of slowly just kind of push it out of Ed's reach.
You describe, let's put a very fine point on that. Ed's dagger is jammed into the table. Do you take it out of the table?
I'm gonna fiddle with it very awkwardly and then attempt to just slide it away with like a sort of look of like, let's start with questions.
Roll sleight of hand at disadvantage. And let me roll something over here.
$15.
15?
15.
You unwedge the tip from Ed's sacrificial bone dagger and unwedge it from the table. He's too distracted by the elf suddenly sitting up to notice that you've moved his dagger. Ed's hand...
It's not taking it, just discouraging him.
Ed's hand closes around the hilt of the elf's short sword, clattering it to the table. No sudden moves.
Fucker.
What's your name? The elf is too busy coughing to respond. He's clutching his chest. He touches his head. Oh, Corone.
Does it line up with the tag?
Does what line up with the tag?
Corone? That's what I think you said.
That's... What did I say? He said it under his breath. Difficult to discern, isn't it? What could he be talking about?
Vaguely sounds like the name of our blue-skinned friend over there. What is the drow doing right now?
When you say that, Corrine tilts her head. She's staring at you. Her eyes bore into you. When you look over, she licks her lips at you.
Casey turns red as a beet and immediately looks away.
A little bit more on task at hand. Rain will take the lit thing and hold it between up to the eye level and try to track it back and forth to see if there's any level of eye movement.
You see if his eyes track the lit end of your parchment contraption, and he does. You watch as his motion follows. It takes him a second. There's lots of blinks in between, but he does in fact follow the tip.
That's good, that's good. In Elvish, it seems your ribs are broken.
Oh,
Try to breathe slowly. You took quite a fall, it sounds like, yes? This one, he'll motion a little bit behind him to Ed. He's gonna ask you some pointed question.
where's my armor?
Dented
Ooh.
behind you.
Who are you? You don't look like a medic.
I don't look like many things.
Where am I?
On a table.
I can see that. Who
You
are
speak
you?
common.
What's your rank? Speaking common right now, aren't I? What rank are you? What is this? What happened to your eye?
Lot of questions.
Why is there a goblin here?
Like you look over, Sporgle is wearing his helmet, and it like sits down on him so much like you can't even see his face, just his nose and his mouth sticking out, and he goes, "Sporgle is off."
I think we should let him keep it.
One moment.
When he asks where he is, or slightly after that, I'd like to interject and ask, would you care to share where you were trying to go?
He's trying to get his helmet back from Sporgle.
Sporgle's like slapping his hands away. Like, no, no.
Where was I going? Where was I coming to? Wouldn't you like to know? What are those? A Lathandrite? How embarrassing.
See, you can talk to the embarrassing Lathandrite with no dignity and be forthright about things. Or you can talk to this guy, and I'm sure you're not going to have a very fun time. So, just answer questions easily. They're pulled out like vertebrae, like through your back, is what it's going to feel like.
What would it feel like for you when Corellin cleanses this land?
Oh, that's what you were saying.
Oh, I'm not going to be the last one you hear saying that. He palms the cylinder that's attached to his arm.
Oh, cute. Did your god actually give you something? Spoiled brat.
Raw seeds of it.
My god has given me unlimited power. What's yours given you?
Well,
a
he
cute
didn't give me
sunrise?
broken ribs, so
Oh, even with broken ribs, I think the lot of you will not be enough to stop me should I seek that. Sporgle,
you don't think you have a great time now?
Sporgle, he goes for his helmet with both of his hands. Do you stop
He'll
him?
no, he'll probably be able to wrest it away. And Sporgle's, oh.
Well, actually, I think Noe may grab for his outstretched hands and stop him.
You do so. Erlen's hands are in your hands. His forearms are very muscular. He allows you to stop him for now. He glowers at you, Noe.
She gives him a slightly strained smile and says, I don't understand what the point of all of this posturing is, but I realize that we've answered none of your questions in turn. You are an evening star. I am Noe St. Cyr.
That explains a lot. I've only
Yeah,
ever
he's
seen...
doing a lot of posturing for someone outnumbered by 7 people.
He puts his helmet back on. Ed stops him from going for his sword.
You feel better now that
says-
you have
and
your
says-
fancy hat?
And says no to him. His hat does look rather good on him, even with the faceplate mildly crushed. He does look rather militaristic and imperial, Kaysen.
Would you return us the favor by telling us your name?
He tucks his dog tag back into his shirt. I think you already know my name. Erlen. Hi. And you are Noe Saint Cyr. I've heard of you.
I haven't heard of you.
Everyone's heard of your father.
As they should.
So what then? Should you try to keep me prisoner, I think you will find me an unwilling elf, I suppose. Surely that's how you'll see me.
The issue, Erlen, is that we don't keep prisoners.
He closes his hand around the cylinder.
Is it stylish for elves of Corellan to be martyrs? Is that all you guys are good for?
I would make a beautiful martyr, but that's not my fate today.
You seem awfully confident about that.
If you were going to kill me, you would have done so already. Now
Yeah, we did find you caked
If we
in
wanted to
mud
kill you
and
quickly.
arrest you from it. But I'm no jailer.
and for
I
that
do
I
want
thank you.
suit. Ranger steps away from the table.
You, alchemist. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Corellan's grace upon you and no one else here.
I've been told.
I'm glad I didn't waste lay on hands on him. It probably would have killed him.
Would you get lost on the way to the sunrise? Get out of my sight.
I'm just gonna look at Ed like, you can do something with him?
Ed looks like he's debating killing him right here. He still has his hand over the hilt of his sword.
Erlen, what is the meaning of the elvish aggression that we're seeing right now?
When I think aggression, I don't imagine this. Perhaps you mean reconquest? Coming home after a long sleep?
I don't know the elves to be conquerors.
Oh, we can conquer this.
Conquer, by definition, means to take something that isn't yours.
It was once, but I doubt this one remembers it. Neither do I. Almost none of us do. It's a petty blood fight over land you remember your fathers telling you about. Too weak to fucking travel. See the beauty of Cormyr. You're grasping at ancient ruins.
That's not even a personal mission of his. It's a family heirloom because he doesn't have a mission of his own to live by.
I will eviscerate you one at a time. Yes, ancient ruins. There are ancient ruins in this land, and I think, based on what you just said, that you know more than you're letting on. The ruins of Isharen. Just southwest of here. You call it Evening Star, we call it Isharen. That's where I'm going. And you think I'm lacking in a mission? You
I think you're lacking in a unique one.
you,
We're out of ideas.
There is great power in having a singular idea. You speak like your kin. You probably think that there are multiple gods. You're a fool.
Well, I have lived at least long enough to remember the calls of others, so I haven't forgotten them at the very least.
With little fanfare, he moves to fasten his crushed breastplate.
What the hell are you gonna do with that? You going somewhere?
I didn't plan to stay the night here. Decent enough inn, I guess, but not necessarily to my taste. Rather primitive. Although I suppose everything here is primitive. Huh.
Yeah.
You have a drow even. How delightfully ugly.
Who is calling for the conquering of Isherin?
In the same way that everyone knows your father, I think you know the father of our people. Alcinerat?
Do I know this name?
I think Noe would. Let me bubble this up for a second. Yes, no check required. A famous arc druid. He is ancient. The elves in this room are all pretty young. To Rain's point, all of the elves here did not live through the Dale Reckoning. They know nothing of the ancient battles here. Alcinrat, on the other hand, does. He is as old as the land itself, one of the oldest Sylvans who still lives. You've heard merely rumors, as you would never traffic in these parts, no way. But you've heard rumors that he's one of the most powerful druids on Faerun.
And then, politically, has my family or anyone in Evening Star ever had communications with the elves? Or is this basically the first time we're ever seeing them in person?
For the most part, it's the latter. Elves tend to be legends, things you talk about, not things you see. You suspected that perhaps your father may have trafficked with several powerful elves who contracted him for spellcasting, but no, this is certainly not a common occurrence.
Okay, so there's no formal
It certainly got
agreement
around.
for the use of this land.
I didn't hear what either of you said.
Oh, I was just saying that it certainly got around. He met a few elves. At least one.
That's correct, yes. And Jewel?
I just said that means that there's no formal agreement about the use of these lands.
That's exactly right. As far as you know, the only treaties date back nearly 1,500 years to the raising of the Standing Stone. As far as you know, that's the last thing that governed these lands in any significant way, and that was the elves ceding these lands to humans to peacefully settle them, almost 1,500 years ago.
Sorry, what was the name of the agreement?
The Dale Reckoning, right? Which is when we use the date format DR. This is what we're referencing. When the Standing Stone was raised here, and the elves of the Cormanthor 1,500 years ago said, "We will cede some of these lands so that humans can peacefully occupy them." The Dale Reckoning, the raising of the Standing Stone. The Standing Stone sits now, at this very moment, outside Myth-Drannor as a way of remembering this ancient treaty between former enemies.
Okay, so Noe may try to invoke that. She says, does the Standing Stone not still stand outside of Myth-Drannor?
There are cracks in it.
Can we not talk about these cracks?
What is there to talk about?
You don't know until you try.
My time here is running short. Very well. These are not your lands, these are our lands. Your stewardship is lacking. Humans,
By what metrics?
look in the river. Look outside your lands. Even from 5,000 feet, I can see the limits of your deforestation. Thousands of trees felled. For what? You're a pestilence, no way, St. Cyr. Your father, too. Here's a phrase you should become accustomed to. Rightful owners. Us, not you. If these two do as I say, I will bring them along for the ride. A wayward paladin and an alchemist. Certainly welcome in the fold.
As long as they remain beneath your heel, that is what you offer them.
He makes no argument.
I just silently look at Kareen and like communicating that I'm becoming less and less invested with this guy, and I'm like taking back my earlier statement when she said something about flaying him.
You make eye contact with someone dangerous. Kareen looks back at you. This time she seems a bit more fascinated. She's tapping one of her fingers to her chin. She looks like she's thinking about you.
Oh dear. I'm gonna turn to Ed and just say I have nothing more to say to this waste of space in front of me. Is there someone I can go swing a sword at and just, occupy my mind with something other than this failure over here?
Erlen seems unimpressed. One of his eyebrows arches, as if he's silently thinking that maybe he will not bring you along into the fold. Ed turns to you, Kaysen. I'm still not convinced you're not in leagues with him. To my eyes, you look just like him.
I could put some scars on his face and fix that.
Ed looks Erlen in the eye, as if he's considering it. Erlen swipes the sword from the table and unceremoniously, as if it's not a thing in the world, puts it back on his hip.
As far as I'm concerned, you're free to go. I will not be joining your fold, although most gracious thanks. Truly. But my job is here with these failed stewards. You can look south. You can hear the drums. I have other jobs to do.
I don't know how to put this gracefully, but there are 50,000 soldiers marching here right now. So should you find me problematic, wait until you're dealing with tens of thousands of me.
You never said you were a problem. 50,000 men.
I know when I'm not wanted.
All marching to ash.
Erlen's backing up away from the table.
I think we need to change our policy on prisoners.
No way. You approach Erlen. He's backing away, but not toward the door. As you approach, he has one hand up and the other hand on his belt.
She's gonna attack.
You attack.
So she is trying to shove to the ground and grapple. I think she can only do one at a time, so she'll start with the shove.
Let's start with initiative. You have a lot of velocity here, so roll initiative at advantage.
Okay.
I like how the most prim and proper one is the one that's going for his throat.
He's threatening evening star in front of us. She, even with advantage, it was just a 13 in initiative.
Erlen has a 19. I want to get everybody on the initiative order. So I have Erlen with a 19. I have Noe with a 13.
Rain with a 3. Net 1.
Rain with a 1 on die for a 3.
14.
Kaysen with a 14.
13.
Sporgle with a 13. Sporgle, can you roll off Noe, please?
I will allow her to go first.
Sporgle with a 13 minus. Noe with a 13 plus. Erlen with a 19 going first. Actually, one moment. Let me get Laird on here. I'm sorry, let me get Ed on here. 1 second.
As like I move my character just slightly because as Noe marches over, Kaysen just like smells a fight coming up and just like lunges like a fucking dog.
That's cute. He's always backing
Like
her.
yes, he's just always ready for drama. Always ready.
Feel free to take a moment before I act with Erlen to move yourself in order to follow where you'd like to start this combat.
I definitely want to stand where I can at least keep an eye on this dude.
Erlen goes first. Noe, this happens sort of at the same time as you lunging at him. So he senses you coming for him, and he doesn't go for his sword. He grabs the cylinder and shakes it. He goes shake, 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 shake.
5 times.
Correct. And then stops. One moment. Erlen uses his action and disengages. And uses his 35 points of movement to move toward the northwest corner. His sword is at his side throughout. He does not attempt to arm himself. It's still on his hip. His breastplate flaps loosely on his chest. He still has his bonus action, and he thinks for a moment. He takes something out of his second belt pouch, the smaller one, the one that Ed investigated. Looks like a small potion of some kind. He swigs it and chucks the vial across the bar. He ends his turn. Kaysen with a 14.
Okay, I'm still very new to combat and moving and Roll20 and all that. How big is one of these squares? How far can I move?
Your square is a 5x5, and there is a ruler tool that someone, I believe, Jewel is currently using. So if you go on the left side, the third from the top is a measure tool. And there is a thing where if you uncheck or check the broadcast to others, you can show it to other people for like consideration, or you can just use it to measure things for yourself.
Okay, and so my movement speed is 30 feet, and is there also a thing where like I can dash if I'm not doing something else?
That is exactly right. Yes, you're something you can use your action for. So resources that Kaysen currently has during this turn. You have the following resources. You have a bonus action, you have an action, and you have a reaction. Using your action, you can dash, which doubles your movement speed, but uses up your action.
Okay. What openings are over where he is? Is that 2 windows?
That's exactly right. Yes, let me pull it up so that yes, you are looking at, you can see that there are two windows, one on the west wall, one on the north wall.
Okay. So if I dashed, how far does that take me?
With your movement being 30, you could close the distance should you seek to.
Okay, I'm gonna. That window looks bigger than that window. Okay, so could I go 55 feet?
You sure can.
I'm gonna put myself between him and that window. Wait, out of me. There we go.
You rush across the bar. You use the dash action, giving up any combat momentum in order to just get there and block him off. You hustle past him. He watches you with an unimpressed eye as you go past him and block the window. He shakes his head.
Yeah, I'm not as interested in letting Noe have her way with him if Noe wants to make this night a little more interesting. Okay, so I don't think I have anything interesting for a bonus action, do I? Probably not. I think I will end my turn.
You do so. Noe with a 13 plus.
Are we playing with flanking rules?
We are playing with flanking rules.
So I think Terminator style, she'll continue chasing this elf across the bar. Her full 30 feet gets her on his other side, flanking with Kaysen, and she's going to grapple this time, hopefully with flanking giving her advantage.
You grapple. Roll athletics at advantage. Is that right? Yeah. You're beating a 15.
No, that was a 13.
You attempt to grapple Erlen. Something you get a appreciation for is his forearms are really yoked. As you try to grab him, he easily wards you off with his forearms. He shoves you away. It remains your turn. He looks completely unimpressed with you.
I do not have any bonus actions available, so that ends my turn.
Erlen spits at your feet, Noe. Sporgle with a 13 minus.
Okay.
Please
Spork
bite
is
him.
going to dash, all right? He's going to dash under the table, through Kareen's legs, into the kitchen, and he is going to start eating anything that's not
God
nailed
damn,
down.
it's Spork.
You do so. Roll perception to see what do you find.
Okay. All right.
Props to Sporgle for being like, this is not my problem.
3.
A 3. You find spread out on the bar sliced toast that it looks like Mikhail started to assemble into sandwiches, but got distracted by by Erlen being dragged into the bar. There is toast spread out across the bar top here. It seems as good as anything else.
Damn right.
There's a lot of it. It almost melts in your mouth.
Oh, God, yes. And that'll end my turn.
Ed Severino with a 7. Ed slides down the table. He sits across from Kareen and studies her. I hate to say this, but I think I know what's about to happen, and I'm not going to interfere. Kareen tilts her head. Not interfering? That's not like you, Ed. Ed ends his turn. Rain with a 3.
Caught off guard by literally everything going on. Stumbling in the background, Sporgle running to the right, and then a disagreement between the two behind him. Rain will just let out a sigh and make his way back over to the other side of the table. I'm on the wrong thing to move my character. And pick up the sensor that he left where the body was. Supine. For shepherds it is. And cast Produce Flame, alighting it.
You do so. Lilac-colored smoke billows out, yes?
Yes. So he'll lie the, lie. He'll pull the chain taut up directly and begin to swivel it back and forth as it produces this deep purplish flame. And end his turn.
You end your turn.
Was the bartender like even remotely involved, or is he just chilling down there?
Mikhail looks like he wishes this was not happening. He is currently taking cover behind this table, watching for whatever is going to happen next.
We're just screwing up his bar.
You hear something.
Oh dear. Why do I always hear something?
There's the sound like a giant arrow flying through the air. Velocity, a vector, wind, aimed right here.
Am I seeing anything out either of these windows?
Yes, you see Erlen glowering at you and he says, "Wait for it." He closes his eyes.
Can I duck as a reaction?
Yes, you can. It is currently Erlen's turn. You can duck as a reaction. Let's look. What do you duck behind? What do you
Or
take?
can I at least like drop down or something?
Yes, you tell me. What it's not what can you do, what do you do?
I'm just gonna drop down if I sense something whooshing towards the window, or at least one of the windows.
You do so. You hear this sound of velocity, wind, something moving, and you move to take cover. You go down. You pill bug. Is that correct?
Yeah.
You do so. Anyone else want to take a reaction during Erlen's turn?
As much as my answer would be normally yes, we'll concede that 2 caught off guard.
Very reasonable, Fomari. Erlen uses his turn. He rolls out his shoulders and ends his turn. Kaysen with a 14.
So is anything like currently coming towards / through the windows?
You look up at the window to see, is something coming for it? Looking out the window, you see nothing. You see the wonderful, beautiful meadows. You see fields beyond fields of western evening star. In the distance, you can see the star water burbling through rock that has cradled it for untold thousands of years. It remains your turn.
Oh, Lord. I'm gonna look up at Noe and I'm just gonna say, so what are we doing with him? Like, I kind of just saw you running for him and I don't know, gonna jump in. What are we doing with him?
I think we need to separate him from his hand.
Can I make an attack while I'm still on the ground? Is it like at a disadvantage? Can I try to slice his Achilles tendon or something?
You can make a desperate attack. Absolutely. Yes, you can. You just fell to the floor. You talk to Noe.
I at least want to try to hobble him.
Sounds good. We're making a called shot at his Achilles. Make the attack roll. Let's see where you land in order to determine next steps. Go ahead and roll to attack.
So my little +0 maul is not on my attack sheet, but under unarmed strike, it says +4 attack, damage 3. What do I do with all that?
Your maul is on your back right now. Is that correct?
Yes.
You are. Do you have a concealed weapon, like a +0 dagger, for example, that you would slash at him quickly at, or are you grabbing him with your hand, or are you trying to get your maul off your back? You tell me.
No dagger on my starting kit that I got.
If it's something you would
Sorry.
have, if it's something you would have, you have it. If it's something you wouldn't have, you don't have it.
I feel like I wouldn't have like a dagger necessarily meant for attacking, but I feel like since Kaysen spends so much time just like in the woods, he would maybe have like a hunting knife or even something small for like gutting a fish at least. Would
I
it be like a 1d4, 1d3?
Let's make the attack roll first. So give me a 1d20. You are proficient in this, certainly, so add your proficiency bonus. And then add your dex modifier.
Oh lord, where do I find proficiency bonus?
It's
Be
2.
a +2.
At level 1, it's +2. So d20 +2 plus Kaysen's dex.
And you get advantage because you're flanking with Noe.
Okay. So
You're not in this case. We're just not. We're watching at advantage and disadvantage because it's like a desperate attack. So it's going to give it disadvantage, but
Yeah.
yes, I'm with you. So we're just going to do a straight roll.
okay, so that will be 13.
13 misses. 13 glances off his armor. You take your paring knife that you've used to gut fish before, to descale fish, and to cut carrots around camp. You lunge desperately for his Achilles tendon. You blunt the tip of your dagger on his armor. It remains your turn, Kaysen. You're not even sure if Erlen noticed.
I think drawing a weapon and attacking is probably everything. So I will end my turn.
And that is absolutely perfect, by the way. From a meta perspective, yes, you have total control over how much like momentum and power you have. No way with a 13 plus.
Could she have? This is somewhat retconning, but could she have grabbed the steak knife that her father was using from the table?
Absolutely, yes. When you were on your way over here, I think it's natural to grab an improvised weapon or something like that. That's something I thought about asking about. So yes, should you choose to grab an improvised weapon, you do. You have a steak knife in your hand.
All right, she's gonna stab at his forearm.
You do so. Roll to attack.
Do I have
I wanna
advantage or no?
Do you have advantage? I think you do. Yes. I mean, this is a pretty desperate flank, but he's not fighting you. He is glowering. He is radiant. He feels unthreatened. So I think sure, take advantage. Erlen doesn't care. He is so unimpressed with you, Noe Saint Cyr.
Yeah. Well, she rolled a nat 1 on the second, so the best one was a 13.
Oh god.
Let's work with that nat 1, shall we?
Yes.
Oh god.
You stab at him desperately with a saucy steak knife. Something is slippery, perhaps grease, on your finger. You stab desperately. It catches his bracer and then slides out of your hands. You grab the blade desperately to try to regain control. Take 1 point of piercing. Blood flows around your hand.
I think anyone looking at her would see something of a cornered animal. It's very feral, very unlike her in her previous comportment.
My character is growing more impressed with you despite the fact that you just failed that attack. Like it's the thought that counts.
You see desperation in Noe's eyes. It is, even in this short time together, it's like nothing you've ever seen before. Noe, it remains your turn.
That's it. She's still in his face.
Sporgle with a 13 minus, still stuffing your face.
Yeah, he's got like 2 pieces of bread in him now. There's like a third one in his mouth, and with the third one in his mouth, he's looking for meat now.
You follow your nose. You find several things that smell like meat. There is a small larder here. There is carefully wrapped half a dozen chicken eggs. There is also 6 rolls of summer sausage.
Okay, Sporgle begins eating one roll and puts 3 in his bag.
You do so. You swipe 3 summer sausages. You start eating the 4th. It fills your stomach. Sporgle, you're starting to feel much better. You've really been operating on almost no food the entire time you've been on the prime material plane. For the first time, you feel vaguely sated as you shovel sausage into your mouth. It remains your turn.
And then once that's done, he's going to move to this door and just kind of sneak out on that side.
Investigating. You do so. You find yourself on the far end of the bar. It's quiet over here.
Isn't there a horse in here somewhere?
You think you can hear a horse outside in the courtyard.
Vaguely remember that.
Okay, after quietly closing this door, he is going to end his turn.
Ed with a 7. Ed looks over at you, Rain. You're shoulder to shoulder with him, is that correct?
At this point, yeah.
Ed turns and looks at you. Have you ever heard any of this about discretion and valor? I think they're about to get a harsh, harsh lesson in all of this.
Hmm.
Thank you for trying to heal him.
Yep.
Ed ends his turn. Rain with a 3.
With previous conversation in mind, he looks over the table, sees Mikhail bunkered under the table,
Yes.
and wishes to join him, but a voice in the back of his head of what would happen if Tilda came through that door and Noe was injured, and how much he would be torn up. With her word, he sighs, turns on heel, and begins to just move towards this awful scuffle.
You do
And
so.
begins to swivel the sensor in a circle.
You do so.
He's not letting it loose yet, but he's brandishing it.
Lilac and lavender smoke begins to fill the tavern. You're getting a good feel for this thing. Nothing feels quite as good as getting that nice velocity to it. Just like someone rolling a whip and feeling that momentum start to build, this feels good, Rain. It remains your turn.
It does. He'll try to position himself at least to make eye contact with this adversary. And just glower. As if it more holding a threatening pose than actually striking. Also a little worried to hit either of these two on the ground.
Has anything happened with the whooshy noise?
It's still Rain's turn for a little bit longer. Rain, it remains your turn.
As the coil of time passes onwards, Rain will end his turn.
One moment. Those of you over by Erlen, Noe, Kaysen, you hear this windy sound intensifying until it sounds like you yourself are hurtling through the plane of air. And then suddenly, it stops. In a moment, there is a sound like the giant arrow flying through the air, connecting. And suddenly the northeast corner of the tavern shakes. Clay roof tiles clatter and break. Wood crunches. There is a puff of air as the interface between the roof and the tavern's main room is broken. Mikhail ducks and groans, knocked off his feet. You can hear Kareen laughing. One moment. Two massive talons support the front legs of something avian. From the waist and behind, there is the powerful hind carriage of a lion. 2 wings, almost 7 feet wide, rise up into the air. And it screams. And that's the session. We're going to cut it there.
I want to scrape those logos off his damn pauldrons.
He has 1 hit point. We just needed to hit him once.
I'm so glad I didn't waste lay on hands on that fucker.
You probably had more. He did drink a potion.
Oh, that's true. That's true. I did forget that part.
I would have shot him, but also I would be at extreme disadvantage from 2 people being in melee combat with.
Are you so sure it was a potion?
He drank some.
I mean, he could be on drugs.
Could be.
We don't know.
There's a running theme in these campaigns.
Is Ed on drugs?
I'd fit on something.
Are we on drugs?
Ed is all talk.
He is,
Your
isn't
voices, yeah. He's full of hot air. I'm surprised he didn't
Mhm.
jump on the chance to fight an elf over there. He's
Well, when the
full
elf
of
had a
shit.
weapon, all of a sudden it was too scary for him.
Yeah, he's gonna let his friend's daughter.
he? A mismatch between actions and words, huh?
Mhm.
Well, he actively thanked Rain for trying to heal the elf.
It's an interesting thing to say.
Holy shit.
Well, that's all I have, and I am going to go eat dinner.
Sounds good.
And you guys are
Can
the
you,
best.
I assume we're just going to pick up this page as we come back. We are still missing a Rain token.
Sorry.
It's okay.
For some reason, your token is very defiant. Yes, we will pick up where we left off, hopefully with other people and scheduling stuff. TBA for next week.
Sounds good.
I will be in touch. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.